Welcome to the Behind the Drapes podcast. I'm your host, Expo Rich, and we're recording here at the IAE EXPO EXPO show floor here in Houston. Thank you so much for being here. My honored guest, Anca Platon Trifan.
You nailed it.
All right. And I'm really excited to have you here because you are one of the speakers here at EXPO EXPO, and you speak on event technology and all of how we have a holistic approach and bring everything together. So did I get that right?
I speak on event technology, particular AI, and how it embeds in our event tech stack. But first off, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. It's a great show. It's my first time, so I'm learning my way around it for sure. But I'm also liking the vibe. I think it's a really good crowd. They love the education. So my goal for my session later today is to demystify what AI augmentation and automation looks like, and even demo an AI agent. Now, I was going to build it like from fresh, but then I'm like, it's going to take too long. And you know how tech goes when you want to demo something. And you're like, probably that's not a good idea. So let's just build it, and then we're just going to demo it and launch it, make some changes, do all of that.
Very cool. So one thing you will find about this show is it's like literally a room full of networkers, so no one really has a problem talking to anybody. So it's like definitely the highest level of a networking event for sure. So, but I'm glad you got to come out and experience it. And I say we're lucky to have you out here because I know that a lot of us struggle with that, putting that how AI is implemented and making our business better and making things operate, and also just especially on the event side, and how do we make all of this better by making it faster and more robust. So
I think the biggest challenge that I see is a lot of event professionals, they're still looking at AI as a tool versus a strategy versus how can it change my workflow. But for that to happen, you have to have a workflow, you have to have a process. So if you don't have a process, it will be a lot harder than to just throw AI tools and hope for the best. I mean, there's so many people that go home after some of those events and they try 12 new AI tools in a prayer. And that's kind of like where it's left at. Because they're like, well, we haven't really thought past how can we implement AI into our processes, into our workflows, and how can we go step by step by step what that looks like, and where can AI can fit in as augmentation. That's where I bring that concept in, versus automation versus support, right? So there's different levels of AI, and there's also different types. Which type do you apply for which level to equal the result that you're hoping for?
And it's funny because we have these conversations internally. My chief digital officer and I, when we go through these same exact steps, where because he has the same frustration when department heads are like, oh, I found out this new tool, and he's the same thing. Okay, let's go workflow first, because you need a problem, a specific to solve before you can have the right fit of what it's going to do.
That's right.
So that's the one thing that we spend too much time trying to figure. But it's good that we're in there.
But it's the foundation. It's important. Like the same way how you're running a business. If you don't have processes in place and a way for being able to say what's our pre, during, post, even during an event. It's much harder to then even figure out what the problem is, how are you solving the problem, and what kind of solutions can you embed to do that.
Well, before we go too much further in this, what's your origin with connecting with events? So specifically like technology and events, and how did you first find that this as an underserved industry and market? What attracted you to the events industry?
How much time do you have, Rich?
Well, I guess the 10,000 foot.
So actually what brought me to events, I don't know if I have a special story, but I have my story, right? So I started in radio through high school and college, and this was back in Romania. I'm originally from Romania, and most people, they're like, oh, the talent behind the mic, so that's awesome enough. But for me, it was actually the production behind the mic that really drew me in. And I wanted to pursue that career, but I had no opportunities back then. There's not a lot of opportunities even now in some of the countries, you know, sort of US. I mean, look even at this trade show.
Right.
How many women do you see behind the scenes running the audio board, the video console? Not a lot, right? So there's not a lot of women in the industry, especially in AV production. So I moved to US. I literally had like $100 something in my pocket.
Wow.
One-way ticket.
You're like, I'm
US.
making this work.
And that was my dream. And then I was like, I'm going to figure it out. I don't know what that's going to look like, right? So it was definitely a lot of like grinding the first couple of years, just trying to get the way of the land to figure out like, where do I fit? Like I remember applying for jobs for AV production companies. And I mean, obviously, who's going to give you a job if you have no background whatsoever, right? But I'm like, I will fix your computers. I will clean your warehouse. Doesn't matter. Just get me in the door, right? So lo and behold, somebody really
took a shot on you.
Take a shot. Like, okay, so well, you know, you graduated in computer science. I'm sure you can fix our computers. And lo and behold, you know, that was my, you know, way in. And from there, I just learned from the ground up everything that has to do with AV production. So that was my way into the event space. And then I put on a lot of fantastic shows back in LA. We were working for A-list celebrities, fashion designers, anything and everything that's happening in LA. I had, you know, a touch. Yeah, exactly. And it was great exposure to learn, you know, the behind the scenes of what it's like to put on a great show. And then eventually I transitioned into corporate events because I did burn out. I mean, you're working, loading in, loading out, pushing
entertainment
cases,
is tough.
18-hour days nonstop. I remember I was in Las Vegas in the convention center, and we had this high-profile show that we were doing for Cristiano Digier. He's no longer with us, but he had Snoop Dogg, he had Lil Jon, he had all the celebrities there, like a trade show full of expo booths and everything. And the in-house, we had to use the in-house because it was union labor. And they messed up all of our lighting. We had truss. Every single booth was actually created of a truss.
Oh, wow.
And then there was lighting running through it, DMX running. So what the union labor did, they started in one end, and then by the time we were supposed to finish there, this is back in the old days of DMX, where you had to go linear. Like if you masked one way somewhere, everything stopped working.
Wow.
So somewhere middle of the way, they lost track. They went probably on break, and they started going backwards.
Oh no!
So when we were ready to program the lights for each individual booth to have their own lighting scheme and effects and everything, and I was, you know, part of the programming that was programming the lights, we could not get those lights to work.
Wow.
So we had to go literally fixture by fixture by fixture,
what a nightmare.
The whole night. So after like, I don't know, it was like 20 hours by then, I just collapsed on the trade show. And I'm like, this is the end of me. Like my body would not work. My mind wanted to get myself up and I just couldn't. And I'm like, I am so exhausted and done. And that was kind of like my come to Jesus moment. Like this life is rough. I mean, no surprise, there's not a lot of women in AV, right? But I'm like, I need to find a type of balance that works for me. So I figured, okay, well, corporate events, it's a little cleaner, it's a little less crazy. How about we give that a shot? And that was kind of like my way into fundraising galas and corporate events and conferences and all that. And
then from there,
and then technology is part of events,
so
right?
As the technology evolved, and then you had that. So you took like a special interest in AI because obviously it's not something that's been around very long. So
not necessarily the Gen AI, right? But if you think about machine learning, we've had that going for many years. I mean, Amazon, they were using machine learning like when they first started 20-something years ago. Like everything that is
supply
so
chain management.
Exactly that is so customized and personalized is all machine learning. So we had traditional AI,
the generative,
but not a lot of people know of that because they're thinking just Gen AI as you know, the 3-something years that we know of since OpenAI.
And that's where it's become in the spotlight. And
Exactly.
And so what attracted you to transition from the AV production side to there? And,
I want to say
lean in on it?
transition. Like we're still doing production events.
okay.
Like Trifan Event Productions is still doing production for events. It's just I've always been very much in tune with what's happening in our industry, especially from a technology and production point of view. What's the next best thing in a way that we can innovate in the space, right? So when OpenAI first came on the scene, I was like, my ears perked. I'm like, what is this thing? Like, let's get into it. Let's really figure out, because I already had the sense that it's going to disrupt, and it's going to disrupt in a really big way. So lo and behold, certainly did. So I just got my basically hands into learning everything I could, breaking shit as much as I could. And just making it work for our workflows, for our production, for our events, right? So that's kind of was the way into, oh my gosh, this is really going to change things. And then I realized, as much as I'm very curious and hands-on, because I am really, really hands-on. The reason why I'm in the baby production is because, I like to get my hands dirty. Not a lot of people were as, advanced or knowledgeable. So that's kind of was my way of like, it's through the podcast, Events Demystified, and also speaking to bring education to the masses, per se, because even now, it's 3 years since OpenAI came with their GPT-2, and people are still using Gen AI for brainstorming.
Right.
That's the end of it, right? So 3 years later, and it's been advancing so fast. With all the advancement, with everything that now AI is really able to do beyond just brainstorming and content creation. Is being able to showcase different ways in which AI can support you. Now, I would say, I'm also very much a realist. This is disturbing not just our industry, but outside of our industry, labor and talent and skill set and what jobs will be replaced by AI. We can't ignore the fact that that is happening. We can't ignore the fact that it will be still happening in a big way. I do worry about my kids. They're 12 and 8, and I worry about what skills do they need to, to learn to be relevant in an AI-run world 10, 15, 20 years from now,
That's a good point, because I worry about that, because my kids, I have 3 20-year-olds and a 17-year-old. And it's almost like they missed that, formative days of education. And now they're
because
already,
of COVID.
And then also getting into college now, while now everything is so ramped up.
Fast.
And so it's like, having kids that are much younger, that are, first gen and involved in it. And they're almost missed the bus, so now they need to work harder backwards, like you did, and like we have to do. But it was it's like that window was just so close, and just
It is, and it's I wish I had a crystal ball to tell what the future might be, and I think we'll take it one step at a time, right? But still, it's impacting so much, and I feel still the best strategy is stay on top of it. Don't let it go by and think that it's not going to touch you, your position, your future, because it will. In some way or another, it will. And if you are not able to have the concept of how you can apply it practically to whatever it is that you're doing, it will be rough. It will be hard, right? My husband, he's a mechanical engineer. There's not a lot of processes that AI is changing right now in the hardware mechanical world, right? But as he's opening himself to other opportunities, one of his recruiter that he was working with, he's like, you need to add AI to your resume. That's what people are looking for, you know? It's like, I don't even use AI because we work for national contracts and security and wherever. We're not even allowed to bring it into, right? But you're like, you have to put it on the resume.
You have to get it a skill set in there. I love the analogy about, and you talked about, being the ultimate disruptor and changing everything and stuff. And then, with the story of the tractor with agriculture,
Yeah.
And food didn't go away, food production and a thing, just the way that we did our farming,
Yeah.
and this is the same thing.
Exactly.
The tractor is AI. AI is going to change the way we do everything.
Although it's a much faster tractor.
Much faster tractor. But
this tractor can fly.
Yeah. So, but it's that same concept of it's going to change the way we do everything.
Yeah.
But all the things, we still need to do all the things. So we just have to refigure out the way we do the other things, because we still need humans to do things.
And that's where the humanity of it all, like human in the loop. That's where like making sure that whatever the future brings, there's still going to be decision makers that are of humankind.
Yeah.
And we keep fighting for that. I think there's going to come a place and a time when you're going to have to really stand your ground and be able to say, even as a organizer, even as a company owner, as an employee, to keep that so that it's human, so that it's not just robotics, it's AI, machines, right? There's, I don't know how much you're into Battlestar Galactica. I love, I definitely love sci-fis, but they have this whole season about Caprica and about the pre-Battlestar Galactica that's all about humanoids and people that are AI embedded and all of that, droids and everything. It's so fascinating. I mean, this is stuff that, we were like watching for years, but now that when you think about it, it's like, it's so close to home. You're like, shoot, this is becoming so much of our reality. China is putting those humanoids out like they're like candy cane. It's insane. I think we're so behind here in US, but if you stay at least closely somewhat in tune with the world news and especially technology, AI, and how it's evolving, it can definitely keep you up at night.
Well, I know everything moves very fast, and so it's hard to. We're always playing catch up.
Yeah.
But looking forward, if you have your own crystal ball version, so what is something that you're excited about next year that you're going to be into and focusing on?
Yeah, I think I'm excited about, again, the fact that our industry is really finally waking up to the reality of AI, not just slamming it as a marketing add-on, but bringing it into workflows, bringing it into processes, bringing it into how not just can I use AI, but how can it completely support what I'm doing, and then still be able to add my skill set, my expertise, into the areas that are of most value. So freeing some of that time, but also being able to be more strategic about how that's done. I'm excited about that because I think there's more of a wave that's, pushing in that direction versus, tools. AI is tools, more strategy, more humanity, and more education and knowledge and application.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. And if people want to reach out to you and find out more information on how to develop their AI strategy, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, the best way is find me on LinkedIn. That's where I live. However, since we're taping this twice for two different podcasts, Events Demystified and Behind the Drapes. You can also find me on all the other podcasting channels out there. YouTube is a big one. Spotify is a big one. Events Demystified being the podcast. And if you want to connect directly, LinkedIn.
Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy the show.
Thank you.